episode. By all means, please like and subscribe. And so instead of doing like a typical like best of 2020, which I'm sure a lot of people do, and I decided to do something else. I wasn't home when Ed Van Halen passed away in October, so I wasn't really able to do some kind of, memory tribute kind of episode. So I decided now that I'm home, I have access to my Van Halen collection, I would do that for like my final episode of 2020. Really became a fan in like 84, maybe 83, 84. I was really anticipating the 1984 album before it came out. And when I heard Jump, I instantly loved it. I still like it. Fans, debate about that record quite a bit. I've always loved it since I heard it, and I still love it to this day. And the video couldn't be a better way to remember that band, at their peak, in my opinion. But I'd heard Van Halen before that, and I was a big Who fan growing up. My brother kind of introduced me to them. But I remember in 1980, my brother calling me into his room to listen to a record, and it was Van Halen, Women and Children First. And he was playing it in the Cradle Rock, and he wanted me to listen to it. And, he pointed out the part where the breakdown where Dave's like, have you seen Junior's grades and everything? And I just thought it was really cool, but it didn't make me a big fan or anything. And then I remember later on in 82, when we were all kind of really getting into music, we were all kind of at that age where you start buying music, and a lot of people in my school were all picking up Diver Down, and I was still a Who fan. And I remember in Cream magazine there was the year-end issue, the best this, the best that, whatever. And I remember debating with somebody because I'd never seen Van Halen live, I'd never seen the Who live, but I was a Who fan, and Van Halen, I think, won the best live band in 82 or whatever, and the Who were number 2. And I just remember arguing with somebody, and it's kind of funny now. I still like the Who, but it's just funny because little did I know 2 years later I would become this massive Van Halen fanatic, Over the years I've spent lots and lots of money collecting various records, promos, merch, what have you. And what I decided to do is just kind of pick a couple of, items from my collection just to kind of show in sort of a tribute to Ed. And, there's nothing I can really sit here and talk about Ed. I loved all 4 of those guys, Ed, Al, Mike, and Dave. That was my band, that was everybody, the soundtrack of my youth, what have you. But there's nothing I can really contribute to, say about Ed that hasn't been said by other people more qualified than me. I'm not a musician, I'm not a guitar player, so it's not like I can do that. I just loved that band. I just loved their energy, the spirit, the sense of humor, the music, obviously. And, it killed me when they broke up. I was devastated when they split up, and what can you do, and then life goes on. Him passing away in October, it wasn't a huge shock because it just felt like you knew that day was coming, There had always been different rumors in the press and what have you about his health and the state of it, and he'd had, issues with cancer in the past, so it wasn't like that news came out of the blue. Nonetheless, it was still a bit of a gut punch. Instead of trying to kind of honor him with some sort of words or something that I've come up with, I just decided here's some highlights from my collection from my favorite band, Van Halen. Best thing to start off, this is an 8-track. It's not even, I think it's still sealed. This is Women and Children First, like I said. I remember my brother, he had the vinyl in 1980 calling me in to play in the Cradle Rock, which is on this album, and I collected a bunch of these 8 tracks. I think I had all of them except for 1984. I recently sold Diver Down. I started at the beginning of the year, started to kind of start selling this stuff off and pass it on to other people, because for the most part, this kind of stuff, I'd never sell my vinyl or my CDs, but this kind of stuff is just sort of sitting in my cases that I have of my collection and just kind of collecting dust. So it just kind of felt like maybe it's time to pass this on to other people out there. Maybe, it's time for it to sit on their shelves or what have you. But so I sold the Diver Down but I still have the other ones right now, and this is Women and Children First from 1980. And we've got this from the Gary Sharon era. This is a 3-inch CD that was put out in Japan. It's got You Really Got Me and Fire in the Hole. And I guess was advertising a Nissan car. If I remember correctly, in 1996, around then, Van Halen did I guess it was a Nissan commercial, and You Really Got Me. It was like with little like Ken and Barbie dolls, animated and stuff. So I guess this maybe was put out sort of as like a cross promotion thing. But this is Van Halen, You Really Got Me, Fire in the Hole, 3-inch CD from Japan. And some of the stuff isn't necessarily super rare or anything. It's just kind of hand-picked a couple of interesting little items from my collection. I'll put the link maybe below if you want to look at the rest of my collection. This is 1984 Hot for Teacher 45 wallet sleeve, I guess you'd call it. It's plastic, and it's got the Hot for Teacher 45 backed with Little Dreamer, and this was the final single from 1984. This was released, I guess, in the fall. I remember picking this up, and I don't think is it an import? I don't think this is an import. I think it was just put out as a little special thing, and you got Ed here on the cover, and then you could flip it around, and if you wanted Dave on the cover, you could have Dave on the cover, and then, of course, poor Mike and Al, they're regulated to the fold-out section of the poster, but it folds out, and there's, Ed and Dave, and then there's Mike and Alex. I'm not going to take it out. It's a little bit of a pain to get that out, but kind of a cool little thing, a little wallet, 45 for Hot for Teacher. And we've got, this I was going to wear, but this is, I've got a handful of these Backstage Passes. Some of them are the cloth ones, and then some of them are these laminate ones. This is for the Hydra Sheep tour in 82, 83, Diver Down. WDFA, they used to put on a lot of their stuff. It meant We Don't Fuck Around. And the back of this is like an Axis All Areas thing with if you know the tour shirt image, it's like a lion bursting through and with sunglasses, and this has sort of like the opposite of that. This is sort of like the lion going through the hole. You can see the back of the lion, and you guys see like the crowd, like he's going onto the stage and the crowd's out there. This is a little Backstage Pass. And now another 45. We got a picture disc 45 of Dance the Night Away, backed with Out of Love Again from Van Halen 2. I've got like, I think one other picture disc for Van Halen, but it's like from Mexico, it's like an interview. And I don't know that I've ever put it on the turntable and listened to it, but I know there's like a 1984 picture disc out there, but I've never been able to get my hands on that. It's always, I think years and years ago, like when eBay first started, I remember thinking maybe I think seeing it on there for like maybe $50, and that's probably the cheapest I've ever seen it for. Now I think it's much more, and I'm sure after Ed passed away, it's probably gone up even more in price. But this is the Van Halen 45 Dance the Night Away. And a lot of this stuff, what I used to do, I don't really collect this anymore. I think the last thing that I picked up collecting-wise for the band was 2012 or 13, whenever it was put out. I bought the vinyl release of A Different Kind of Truth, the double album red vinyl, and then I maybe 3 or some odd years ago, I picked up the 45 that was released for She's the Woman, which was kind of like a promo thing that they put out. I think it came out with the vinyl of A Different Kind of Truth. Like if you, at certain record stores, if you bought the vinyl, you got the 45 She's the Woman for free. And now it goes for a lot of money on eBay. I got it for maybe $25, which I think now is pretty cheap. But so what I used to do when I used to collect this stuff, because a lot of it was pre-eBay, I would go to record shows, and specifically I used to always go to, there would be these KISS conventions, and I would always go, and I don't like KISS, I'm not a fan, but at the KISS convention, you know, they'd have all these dealers with records and stuff like that, and I would go to those because obviously at the KISS convention, these dealers, they wouldn't just have KISS stuff, they'd have hard rock and whatever, and obviously if they're bringing KISS records to sell, they're going to bring Van Halen, they're sort of in the same genre. So I would go knowing that these guys would all have Van Halen stuff to dig through. And it was funny because I dragged my girlfriend at the time, and I'm sure she hated it, but she, went along. And what would happen is there would always be like a guest for the KISS convention, like somebody who used to work with them on their crew, or maybe like a former member or something like that. And they'd be in these convention centers, and then whenever it was time for that guy to talk on stage, all of the fans would go into that room to go listen to the guy talk, and then I'd have the whole place almost to myself. So then I would be like, I'm not pushing through people anymore, I'm just walking up and digging through. So they'd all be in there listening to the KISS person, and I'd just be digging through all the bins. And so I would go to those things, and I'd buy a lot of the stuff came from there, but these are probably also one of the last things I picked up. And I remember seeing these for a while, and after they were released, and I kept saying, why am I going to buy those? What am I buying those for? I'm trying to stop buying stuff, And then finally, I think I saw them for pretty cheap price. Maybe I got all of them for $100 or something along those lines. So I said, F it, and I picked them up. And these are the first 6 albums released in Japan on these, like, what they call like mini LP sleeves. They're CDs, but they're like mini LP sleeves. And they really did a good job with these. And inside they have like, they recreated all the inside artwork, like the sleeve and everything is done exactly how the original was done, to the degree of, like, say, Women and Children First. If the original vinyl came with a poster of Dave, and even the little vinyl or the little CD that they recreated comes with a little poster of Dave. But I mean, that attention to detail, I mean, that just shows what a good job they really put into this set, And like I said, they're from Japan. I don't know why, in the U.S. here, Van Halen, they've never had a box set, really. And it just, whenever they've remastered the CDs and stuff, they've never put any bonus tracks on them or anything. They just kind of never done any of that stuff. But overseas, they've kind of put out some cool stuff. Recently, Rhino did put out a pretty cool box set of 45s for the original band, and they did a really good job on them. And it's a nice little box set. It's like $120, $130, and if I was still collecting, I would have bought the thing day one. But I just kind of like, there's a part of me that would love to buy it, and another part is just like, I'm supposed to be done with that band, so whatever. So, but it's a nice little set. Well, let's go to this. Very similar to those. This is a box set put out in Japan from 1978 to 1984, Van Halen, and it's all first 6 albums and CDs. I've never opened these. I have them on CD, and these are the same thing. They're just the Japan version. But it's all 6 of the first 6 CDs. And then there's a little booklet that comes with it, which has got, it's all got lyrics and stuff. And there's some liner notes, but they're in Japanese, obviously. So I don't know what they really say, but kind of a nice. And then it also came with this little box here that you open up, and they put one of these out for the Sammy Hagar era as well. I don't have that, but inside you got like a little sticker. It's a little bent, a little sticker of the logo, and then this little keychain of the logo, kind of like my necklace. This thing, I don't remember where I got this. I got this probably in the early 2000s or something, but I was after, because they used to sell these through the fan club. In the albums, they would have the fan club you could write away, and you could get the little newsletter or whatever, and buy merch through them. And I never got one of these back in the day. And then obviously when the original band split, that fan club ceased to exist, and you couldn't get these anymore. But you'd see like these bootleg ones or these knockoffs, and then I was always looking for like a legit one, and I could never find it. I would go into like, at those record shows or whatever, I'd always ask like, if you got one of those, or have you seen one, this and that, and could never get my hands on one. And then finally, I don't know, like I said, maybe it was on eBay or something, I finally got my hands on one of these, and was thrilled, to get this necklace. And we got here the first album, the gold compact disc, 24 karat compact disc that was released by DCC. This thing goes for a lot of money now, apparently, and this before they did any remasters or anything like this had the best sound quality. This was a series that they would put out a bunch of different albums on these gold 24 karat CDs, and I picked this up whenever it came out in the 2000s maybe, and then they announced they were going to put out a 1984 24 karat CD, and I was all ready to buy it, and then it just suddenly disappeared from the release slate and never came out. I don't know why, but maybe it had something. I think maybe it was around the same time as Warner's doing their remasters, so maybe when Warner's decided to remaster the original 6 albums on CD, maybe that's what ceased the 1984 gold 24 karat. I don't know, whatever. So a couple last CDs. These are all sort of related to the first greatest hits record they put out, Best of Volume 1 in 1996. First was a CD single of Jump with this cover art of these nuns jumping out of the ocean, and this has Jump, House of Pain, and Ain't Talking About Love on it. I just kind of thought that was cool, because obviously when Jump originally was released, CDs weren't around, so there was no CD single of Jump, so I picked that up. This is a Japan release, like so much of this. Another Japan release. This was put out called The Greatest Hits Coming Soon, a little promo put out in Japan by Warner Brothers. And this, what's interesting about this is that it has the original Best of Volume 1. It didn't have Hot for Teacher on it. This does have Hot for Teacher, and this doesn't have, the last track on this is Human Beings. This doesn't have the 2 songs they did with Dave in '96, Me Wise Magic and Can't Get This Stuff No More. So I'm not sure, because I'm wondering if this was going to be the original before they knew they were going to have these new songs with Dave, if this was going to be it. This was going to be the greatest hits collection, and maybe even it was going to be called Greatest Hits, not Best of Volume 1. I'm not really sure the history of that, if this was put out thinking that this was going to be it, and then they were like, hey, we got these 2 new songs with Dave, and they tacked them on and took out Hot for Teacher. But kind of a cool little thing. I remember hunting this down for a while. I think I finally got it on eBay. It was always really expensive, so it took a while to track that down. And then we also have Best of Volume 1. This is a promo. This was released in a slipcase, as opposed to the original set is in a regular old plastic jewel box. This was put out, the promo was put out in this digipack, so it's got like a slipcase with this, and it's a promo, it's sort of announcing October '96 this is coming out, and this has the correct track listing, that was put out. Then inside you got this digipack with the logo there, if you can see that, and it's got the other thing. And I think it's kind of interesting because if I remember correctly, this is all like kind of silver, and if I remember correctly, the original release was gold. It wasn't silver, but it's just got the album, and it's got the booklet that's the same as the booklet that was in the regular original release. So that's that. Well, we've got, this is from 1978. This is the original Warner Brothers press kit for the first album. I picked this up. There was a store on Melrose. Pretty sure it was in Melrose in Los Angeles, and I was out there in 1990. I think it was the first time I ever been to Los Angeles, and I heard about this place called I think it was called the Rock Shop or the Rock Store, and I saw it, maybe it was on like MTV News or something, and I was like, I gotta go there, because that was like the right in like the middle of like my, Van Halen, fanaticism collecting stuff. So when I heard about this place that has all this like different rock memorabilia and merchandise and what have you, I was like, I gotta go there. So I went there and I picked this up. This is the original press kit. It's got the photos there of Ed, Al, Mike, and Dave. He's called Dave Roth on the photo there. And then, it's just a little press kit information with just, little stuff to promote the band. At the same place, at the same time, I also picked up I have the press kit for Women and Children First, which is like a black folder. It's not the like generic Warner Brothers Records one. It's a black one, and it has like Van Halen stenciled across the front. Last couple of things. This, for starters, like I said, I really got into the band like after Jump came out, '84. That's when they took over the Who's spot as my favorite band. And I just couldn't get enough, and I bought 1984 like the week it came out. I still have the receipt, believe it or not. I don't know why, I still do, but from when I bought 1984. But then maybe about a year later, in early '85, before we knew the band was splitting up, I was in the record store, a regular record store, and I picked up this bootleg, first bootleg I ever bought for the band, Castle Donington, which was from the 1984 tour. This was recorded in, I think, August 18th, 1984. And if I remember correctly, I thought maybe somebody online said that this is actually not really at Castle Donington, but I haven't listened to this. I probably listened to it when I first got it. I don't remember what the sound quality is on this. When I bought it, I don't know that I was super aware of bootlegs necessarily, and I don't think I really knew the Van Halen catalog, and I don't know that I even really realized that this wasn't like a legit release, when I bought it. Because it was even in like a regular chain record store. It wasn't in like a mom and pop place. So I remember picking it up thinking like, it was an official release, But anyways, I have a bunch of bootlegs, and I've been thinking of selling, like I said, I've been thinking of selling all this stuff off, and started to earlier in the year. But that one I think I'd hold on to just for that like kind of nostalgic, sort of sentimental kind of connection, because it was the first one, but we'll see, whatever. And then this, a lot of fans know, this is a promo that was released before the first album. It's an EP. This is the logo Warner Brothers was going to use, and then the band nixed it. And this is often referred to as the Looney Tunes record, even though it's not really called that. But this was an EP that was put out, and it's called the Looney Tunes because you can see the little Warner Brothers Looney Tunes label there. But this has Running with the Devil, Eruption, Ice Cream Man, You Really Got Me, and Jamie's Crying on it. And I remember there was a story before the first album came out. They'd recorded it, and it was gonna be coming out the next year or whatever. And Ed played a tape of their version of You Really Got Me for like a friend of his or an acquaintance, who's in another band in that Hollywood area, and he played You Really Got Me, and the guy was like, whoa. And then he, like, I think if I remember correctly, that guy like went and him and his band recorded a version of You Really Got Me after hearing Van Halen's. And I want to say this was put out to kind of, because I think word got back to Ted Templeman and was like, Ed, I think he scolded Ed, like, why did you play him that? You shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. And, and for some reason I thought there was a story that's why this was put out. They rushed this out just to kind of get the Van Halen's version out there before this other band kind of came in and, stole their thunder. But, I mean, we all know. I'd never heard that version. I don't remember what the band was or whatever. But let's be honest, I can't imagine that it came anywhere close to what Ed and the dudes did with their version of You Really Got Me, right? So finally, excuse, me, I didn't name this album, but we have Van Halen Rapes Japan. And this is an official Warner Brothers release. It's a promo that was put out in Japan. I thought originally it was to promote a Japanese tour, but I don't think they toured in Japan for 1984. I could be wrong, but I don't think they do. They did, but this is just kind of like a compilation, like almost like a best of Van Halen up to that time. And they have dates, tour dates on the back here, and I don't think Japan is listed. Here's Donington from my bootleg 818, but I don't see Japan. I don't think they played Japan, but this was put out in the back here. You have the discography and then little things about each member of the band, and it's kind of promoting the tour. And this contained, the first thing on it is like a little intro thing by Dave. Then you've got Panama, Pretty Woman Unchained, Dance the Night Away, Ain't Talking About Love. The other side is Jump, I'll Wait, Dancing in the Street, and The Cradle Will Rock, and You Really Got Me. We call it the bad side and the bad side. But you know, this was this Van Halen promo, by the way. It's red vinyl, as you can see. Anyways, so this was like a little promo that Warner Brothers put out. I guess just to, I don't know, promote the band, or maybe they thought they were going to tour Japan and it didn't happen. So that's why it was put out. So this is you know, my little kind of tribute to Ed. Like I said, I wasn't gonna really planning on saying anything, you know, special about the guy. I mean, that band meant everything to me. His music meant everything to me. I mean, he was the best in my eyes and a lot of other people's. And it's sad that I'm not going to get to see him again live. I really kind of kick myself because I saw them when they reunited with Dave in 2007 and 2008. And then 2012 when they toured, in 2015, I didn't go. I don't know why. I just kind of, maybe I wasn't in town. I work out of town a lot, and maybe I wasn't around. I did try to go to when they played Red Rocks. So I've always wanted to see a show at Red Rocks, and when they were playing Red Rocks, it was like, oh, that's perfect. But I just couldn't get a trip together like that for that show. But I don't know why I didn't go. I mean, you know, for some reason, I just didn't make it to the shows. I'm kicking myself. And I mean, you know, last year when there were all these rumors going around that they were going to maybe be touring with Mike again in the band or whatever, regardless whether Mike had returned or not, I was like, you know what? And I was kicking myself for not going. I was like, you know what? Next time they come, I'm going. I don't care. It's my favorite band. I should be going to see them. But, you know, that's not going to happen now. And it's a shame, you know, that he's gone. But luckily we got all this stuff to listen to. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this whole year of these videos. If you have been, appreciate it. And, you know, hope you had the best of the year you could with everything going on. It hasn't been easy, but, you know, I wish you all well, and we'll see you again sometime.